power scales. I'm sure you have all heard of the infamous phrase power scales, power scaling, power levels, battle power. It comes under a bunch of different terms, but today on the Dragon Digest, we're going to be talking about the topic of power scales. I never thought I would be talking about this because I, for one, am not the biggest advocate of power scaling and things like that. It's not really my biggest strength within the Dragon Ball mythos. It's a lot of other people's strengths, but not mine, and I don't really take too much akin to it because, you know, power scaling is basically useless now in the Dragon Ball world, and that is basically the topic of this video. Why power scaling is now useless within Dragon Ball Super. Let's talk about it. Power scaling within Dragon Ball has not always really been as prevalent as it is nowadays. Back in the original Dragon Ball, it was never really such a big thing until it was talked about in the Daizenshuu with different, power levels and different battle powers given for each character within the original Dragon Ball run, with the first 153 episodes of the original Dragon Ball. And then as we moved into Dragon Ball Z, we had the introduction of power levels and the Scouter and all these different numbers that were thrown at us from basically out of nowhere. We had, of course, over 8,000, which is the very iconic quote, and, over 9,000 Brian Drummond's mistranslation in the Ocean dub. But, all these different numbers would amount to basically nothing because, I've talked about this before in a previous video, my What Are Super Saiyans Dragon Ball Lore 101 video. I talked about, all the different multipliers. You got 50 times base for Super Saiyan, 100 times base for Super Saiyan 2, 400 times base for Super Saiyan 3, 4,000 times base for Super Saiyan 4, and you've got the fusions as well. It's base A times base B, and the supposed, now this is not confirmed, and the supposed Metamoran fusion multiplier, which has been kind of speculated upon, I've seen on Daizenshuu and things like that, is that it's user A times user B, their bases, times 10, which I wouldn't say so, but I mean, these are probably people who have been in the power scaling community for quite some time, so I am going to take their word for it. So we've got different things like this. However, they would have made sense within the original Dragon Ball Z. They would have made sense within Dragon Ball Z, but now we are in Super. We don't really have these power levels anymore. Super Saiyan God hasn't got it, Blue hasn't got it, Blue Kaioken hasn't got it, Rosé, Golden, Rage, all these different forms do not have any set multipliers yet, and with the way Super is going, they're not likely to have any, because the way in which the power scaling has worked within Dragon Ball Super so far is that it's basically just placed right down to plot convenience. A character is going to be as strong as another character just for the plot, because remember, Future Trunks arc, Super Saiyan 2 Future Trunks was as strong, or like just below Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and that was post Champa arc Goku. And then we had 17 who was going toe to toe with Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Gohan was doing the same, he was going toe to toe with Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Golden Frieza, or true Golden Frieza, knocked Goku out of Super Saiyan Blue. So it's just, power scaling is a very kind of, you have to be very careful with it. The thing about power scaling now is you can, scale it. You can say, oh, I think because of such and such a reason, like a feat or a different kind of power that has been shown, this character can beat this character. But I don't think with the scaling we're seeing now in Super we can use numbers anymore. I don't think numbers are a valid factor within the power scaling community anymore because of the fact that there's no official multipliers. They're not given in V-Jump, they're not given in Shonen Jump, they're not given in any of the manga interviews with Toriyama and Toyotaro and things like that. So they're not given in any of those. We're obviously not got any Daizenshuu for the Dragon Ball Super time yet, and it's, I don't know, will we get Daizenshuu for Super? I'm not sure, to be honest, but if we do, they might possibly, just throw a couple numbers in there just to make up for the power multipliers that we haven't seen for, God, Blue, Rosé. Another reason I feel that the power scaling couldn't work in Super as we know it now is the fact that they can't really, especially with this Universe Survival arc, especially with this, is that they can't put specific numbers and power levels on 60 or rather 70 different characters, because we've got all of Universe 6, which we did see in the Champa Jump arc, they could have put power levels on them back in the Champa arc, but even then they would still have 60 other characters to put a power level on, and then if they wanted to they could put the power levels on the Gods of Destruction, the Angels, Daishinkan, Zeno, Goku Black, Zamasu, all of these different characters that they could have put power levels on, but there's just like way too many of them. I think if they were to put power levels on these characters specifically, then it would just seem like way too random, just kind of a, not so much an ass pull is not the word I want to use here, maybe just so much of a random thing to do, because how can you really decide what power level they're going to be without actually really seeing them in action, unless they do it after this arc, which would make a little bit of sense, but there's a lot of already very questionable things happening in this arc, like we saw in the preview for episode 97. It showed Murichim, the kind of jabroni gym guy that we saw from Universe 10, butting heads with Toppo, and we know Toppo is strong enough to go toe-to-toe with Super Saiyan Blue Goku. And that is why I think, you know, power scaling is, like I said, useless in Dragon Ball Super at the very least. It's not useless in Dragon Ball Z because we do have multipliers and such there, but I do feel that the multipliers do not apply to Dragon Ball Super because we've seen just so many weird things, like I said before, Super Saiyan 2 Trunks taking on Super Saiyan 3 Goku very evenly, especially in the manga, especially in there. And we also had, you know, Super Saiyan Goku versus Goku Black, and they were very even for the most part, but even then, I think power scaling is useless in Dragon Ball Super. However, if you guys like this video, please do leave a like and a comment in the comment section below. If you are a part of the power scaling community or you are very big on power scaling, please do leave a comment on your thoughts below. I want to know what you guys in the power scaling community think on my thoughts with power scaling being kind of useless and redundant in Dragon Ball Super. Please share this amongst your friends, and if you could, please hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get a notification every single time I upload. That way you'll get every single piece of content to you as it goes up. I've been AzureAce, and thanks for coming to the video.
You have arrived. I'm here to tell you that if you don't subscribe to AzureAce for Dragon Ball, Kingdom Hearts, and Pokemon TCG content, you will wander forever in the darkness of your heart.